Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacqueline. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacqueline at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hi, red.olaughlin with USA Global TV and Radio Network, and it's a Talking Head show today. We've been talking for the last 5 weeks about post-pandemic health and what we can do, and today is our final wrap-up. Into the details, we talked at the 30,000-foot level. We brought it down, talk about the what's, the whys, and now we're getting into the how are we going to do this. We've been living the last 2.5 years almost, I think. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my first slide. And there it is. The last, I guess, almost 2.5 years living in the pandemic, where our activities have been restricted, masks, hand washing, vaccines, all sorts of things have been going on. At some point in time, we will have an effective vaccine that will, in fact, shut down this coronavirus, just like other vaccines that do work. For whatever reason, the one they had was very short-lived. Regardless, it doesn't matter. We're not getting into vaccines today. But at some point in time, we're going to be out of this pandemic, whether 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, it doesn't matter. But at some point in time in the future, we are going to have something else that may be challenging. And it may be just something for each individual one of us. It's called old age. As we get there, we're not as prepared as we need to be. So why not start planning now in the middle of this, not the middle, let's hopefully toward the end of this pandemic, for that post-pandemic world we need. I am a researcher. I have no medical background. I have no pharmaceutical background. My first love as a sophomore in high school was chemistry. I loved it so much I got a degree in it. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to become a chemist because I got an invitation to Vietnam. Several years ago, my wife was having problems, side effects from chemo, from breast cancer that she had. And I started researching, what can I do about these side effects? And then all of a sudden, my passion for chemistry opened back up again. I had been writing and speaking on self-improvement, motivation, had written a couple of books in those areas. But all of a sudden, my real love of my life, chemistry, popped up and allowed me to research the human body at the cellular level. Chemically speaking, I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat a symptom, and you'll always be treating symptoms. So when we're looking at what can we do to improve our health, post-pandemic, pandemic, pre-pandemic, it doesn't matter. It's all the same answer. But it doesn't depend on whether we really have another pandemic. We really need to concentrate on our future health. And we start with awareness. That's part of this program. And then we get into the next stage, which is in between education and action, but they're all kind of related. So as you learn a little bit more, then we have actions that we can take. And I'm not giving you actions just to take willy-nilly. If you're on prescription meds, you're on some kind of doctor's care, you really do need to talk to your doctor before you change anything. So one of the areas that I specialize in, I write about, I speak about a lot, is longevity and aging. There are two primary causes of aging. One is your human growth hormone. When you're young, very young, you have a lot of it. When you get older, it just wanes off till you'll have almost anything. The other one is the length of our telomere. At the end of the DNA, there is a little tie thing that keeps everything together. If you visualize a shoelace, there's a little caplet, plastic caplet on the end that keeps all the threads of the shoelace together. Well, that would be considered a telomere at the end of our DNA. Well, each time the cell replicates, in other words, a cell divides in two and becomes two cells, a little bit of that telomere length is lost. And when it loses everything, the cell dies, it can't replicate anymore, it's done. And so you can have certain things that control how much human growth hormone our body makes and how fast the erosion of the telomere length occurs. So you'd like to slow down the telomere length loss. You like to speed up the human growth hormone creation? Well, in both cases, the answer is the same. It's nutrition and exercise. Not exactly the same, but very, very similar. We're talking about balanced nutrition. You have everything you need of 30 plus nutrients you need on a daily basis, and you're doing various kinds of exercise. It can be something as easy as walking to high intensity interval training. But there's a lot of in between. The easiest, fastest way to increase your human growth hormone is to do fasting. And whether it's a 15-hour fast, a 25-hour fast, a 55-hour fast, every additional hour increases the level of human growth hormone in the body. Now, we looked at last week what are the types of problems we had and what can we do about it. And the areas that we're going to concentrate on today as action items is the diet, stress management, the medicines we're taking, our mental health, our lifestyle, and our immune system. So each one of those we're going to delve into a little detail. Okay, so let's look at diet. What should we know about it? What should we be planning for it? Our body needs literally about 30, 32 nutrients every single day. I've related the story about Dr. Terry Walls and her late in life episode with multiple sclerosis. No matter what the doctors did, it kept getting worse. She ended up in a wheelchair for years. She researched the autoimmune disease, wrote a book called The Walls Protocol. That is WAHLS. My wife was transitioning between chemo and radiation. I read the book. I said, Marilyn, let's just try this, see what happens. I changed her diet on day one of radiation. The radiologist thought her fatigue was going to get worse. That was the main problem I could not address well with her chemo. In 48 hours, just changing diet only, she wiped out months of chemo fog and literally eliminated radiation as a factor in anything going on in her life. She was taking 1, 2, or 3 2-hour naps a day. 48 hours into radiation, she was fine. She didn't take any more naps. She's volunteering her time back up at the church at 7 days. The last day of radiation, we left Houston, Texas, drove to Jacksonville, Florida. I rented a U-Haul. She followed me by herself 48 hours after her last radiation treatment, and by herself 500 miles each day, driving alone. No problems at all with fatigue or anything else. Something as simple as the food you eat on a daily basis can make a major difference in many, many aspects of our health. Nutrient deficiency is a factor in many, many diseases. Most nutritionists tell us that we need 15 calories a day to live. But when you look at animals that are restricted, about 30% of what we consider our normal need, so about 10 calories per pound of our body weight, they actually find out they live longer and healthier. They've done a lot of experimenting with humans, but they don't have enough history with regard to how long can you actually live and what kind of health, what kind of age-related diseases are you not getting. I tell people all the time, you want something real simple, easy to start with, change your dinner plate out to a salad plate. Don't go back for seconds. Automatically, you're cutting down on total calories. And when you start looking at, there's a certain point between your mind and your gut that says, okay, I'm fine. I don't need any more. But it takes about 2 seconds, and that notification from the brain is bypassed, and we just keep eating. Sometimes we know it's there. Yeah, I'm full, but I'm going to finish everything anyway. So as you shift to a salad plate, you start adjusting your portion control. You get the right kinds of foods on the plate and the right amount of those foods. Some things that a lot of people don't talk about is pH. That's whether our body is alkaline or acid. From 0 to 7, it's acid. From 7 to 14, it's alkaline. The closer to 0 or 14, the stronger the acidity or the stronger the alkaline environment. Our blood lives in a pH of 7.35 to 7.45. Disease loves your pH to be below 7, 6 or 5, whatever it may happen to be. It just lives a wonderful life when your body has an environment that's acidic. Now, the food you eat contribute mainly to your body's overall pH environment. So if you're eating carbohydrates, fats, proteins, those are foods that will leave the body in an acidic condition. Fruits and vegetables will leave the body in an alkaline condition. But if you're exercising, your metabolism, just normal life, those factors will also add to the acidic end of things. So you literally need to have a little more fruits and vegetables than you have carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Now, in the Walls Protocol book, they're very, very specific about leafy green vegetables, about colored fruits and vegetables, about salt-laden vegetables, and about high-quality fat and proteins. Really didn't mention anything about carbohydrates. You get plenty of carbohydrates in your spinach and other kinds of leafy green vegetables. Regardless, there are ways of doing things. It's a matter of adjusting to get there. If you don't keep your blood above 7.4, calcium will be leached from your body, from our bones, into your bloodstream to maintain the pH. There's so many different organic options out there, and just because it says organic or non-GMO or pasture raised or farm raised, you really need to understand what do those terms mean and how can that affect your health. So in your menu planning, there are a lot of options. We just need to know what they are and take advantage of those things we like. From a diet planning perspective, we need to read and understand labels. There is rarely a label that I pick up on anything that I don't read in detail. I want to know what is in it, how much, what are the serving sizes. A lot of toxins are there. I'll talk about toxins hopefully a little bit later on this presentation today. But we learn a lot with the labels that are there. The time we eat our meals. If you're eating 5, 6, 7, 8 meals a day, you're probably going to keep your sugar levels up so high that you're really never going to allow your liver to really rest. You're not going to allow your sugar insulin levels to come down. If you're eating late at night, you're probably not going to get the quality of sleep you need. Many times we feel hungry and we're really dehydrated. So I say, take care of the dehydration, avoid snacks, limit alcohol, especially 3 hours before you go to bed. Limit a lot of the sugar laden, a lot of things we supersize now. We get supersized French fries. We get our supersized drink. We're at 64 ounce, and with all the high fructose corn syrup in there, your body is just really maxed out, and your liver is just overworked, just trying to keep track of everything. So if you can limit your simple sugars, more complex carbohydrates, those are things you need. We need to lower our expectations. What do you expect also has to deal with what degree of happiness you have in your life. The Danish people, were found to be the happiest people in the world. But when they really did studies on it, they found out that their expectation levels were very low. And so if their expectations were exceeded, they're happy. If their expectations were not met, they were sad. And that's similar everywhere else. So if we have an expectation to get this goal, I'm going to lose 30 pounds in the next 30 days, and I don't get there, I'm not going to be a happy camper. So we need to look realistically at our goals and our expectations. Fasting has so many health benefits. We could spend a whole show just talking about that. But there are many, many ways to fast, something that is needed to be considered. Other things in our diet, what benefits do we get when we pay proper attention to diet planning? It reduces inflammation and oxidative stress, 2 pathways to disease. Disease starts at the cellular level 99% of the time with chronic low-level inflammation. Our fruits and vegetables provide the antioxidants that quench the free radical damage, reduces the inflammation, reduces oxidative stress. So we improve our nutritional balance, we lower our risk of disease, we can reduce our risk of obesity. It makes it a lot easier to maintain our weight and fat standards that we need for our height and weight. It's a lot easier to manage sugar and insulin levels when your diet planning is attentive to those needs. Our digestive system, something that we get all of the benefits of our vitamins and minerals and enzymes and amino acids and everything, that is really much more efficient when we have the right kinds of foods. Our gut biome, our immune system is about 80% of our gut. So as you eat certain kinds of foods, the gut is where the nutrients from our digestive tract end up in our small intestines. And zonulin is a protein that opens up tiny, tiny holes in the intestinal wall that allows the digested nutrients to pass through the immune system and into our bloodstream so that we get them into our body. If the gut biome is really disturbed, you're not getting that, you can end up with a lot of issues. Autoimmune diseases are kind of an offset of a very poor gut biome. A lot of issues there. Fiber, anytime, almost every meal I take fiber. It's just one of those things I've gotten a habit a long time ago. So fiber is your friend. Probiotics, prebiotics, those are things that help the gut biome. Prebiotics help the flora in the gut to, it's almost like a fertilizer for the flora. So you need to pay attention to the prebiotics also. Lifestyle. These are the other things in that we talk about every day. It's our diet, it's our exercise, it's everything that we do. Exercise, all kinds of exercise, whether it's endurance, uh, strength training, body weight, walking, flexibility, stretching. Lots of things need to be done, but we need to look at the intensity, the frequency. We also have to look at the recovery. And we don't have to necessarily exercise every single day by going out and running high intensity, whatever. We can do stretching at home. We can do balance at home. There's a lot of things we can do just sitting at home. There's not necessarily sitting at home, but at home. Quality sleep. Getting sleep is one thing. Getting good quality sleep is really what we need. That sleep needs to be there so the body can repair itself overnight. One of the reasons that we say we need sulfur-laden vegetables is because that sulfur is what is used by the body to repair muscle and all sorts of damage to the body. Toxins, it's just not in the food we eat, but also in the personal care products. Every time you slather on underarm deodorant, a lotion, uh, shampoo, anything that you use has chemicals in it. The same products that we buy in the United States, the same product is produced in Europe with about 1,000, 1,100 less toxins. For whatever reason, they'll produce that exact same product in Europe with 5 ingredients. They'll have 15 or 20 ingredients in the United States product. Those other toxins are not allowed in Europe, but our Food and Drug Administration says it's okay. So as we go on down, we also need to know, where are we? Where are we going? It's like Alice in Wonderland. You get to the fork in the road. The Cheshire Cat says, "Where are you going?" And Alice says, "I don't know." And the Cheshire Cat says, "Well, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. If you don't know where you're at with your health, how do you expect to improve it?" You really need to have some kind of annual assessment. We all know we need to stop smoking if you are, reduce the overall levels of alcohol if you're drinking that. We have food intolerances, sensitivities, allergies. They don't necessarily mean for life they're going to be that way. I've had some food sensitivities that stayed with me for a couple months or so, or maybe a little longer. I tried 6 months later and I'm no longer sensitive to that particular thing. So just because you have something, you get everything straightened out, you're getting all of the nutrients you need. Maybe some of those allergies are not as bad as they were. Now, some you may have to live with. If you have Crohn's disease, if you have colitis, you have a lot of things. You have to be really, really careful about the food you choose. So there are some issues there with allergies. More things on planning your lifestyle. We need to relax. How are you relaxing? I'll say, I'm not stressed. Well, everybody's stressed. But meditation is one way of doing it. There's so many different ways to relax. Sometimes we need to step back and say, maybe 30 pounds overweight, but I'm going to work on, I can accept that right now because I'm going to work on get rid of it. But sometimes our self-assessment, our image, our affects our self-esteem, which now starts leading you down a pathway for health, mental health, and others that you really don't want. Again, like any other thing that we're talking about, drink more water, hydration. Sometimes we just need that short break. You get away from the computer, you cover your eyes for 2 or 3 minutes and just relax. Maybe put on a little bit of music, just kind of soothe things out. Sometimes you just literally take a 7-8 minute nap. I do probably 3 or 4 less than 10-minute naps a week. Okay, I'm just going to go in. I set the alarm for 10 minutes and somewhere around 7-8 minutes, I'm fine. And the alarm doesn't even go off. Sometimes we need just a little bit more exercise. That can be something as simple as parking a little bit further away or taking an extra set of stairs. We get so bombarded with things on TV. If you're watching TV and you're enjoying the show, mute the commercials. Is there something there that's really adding value to what you need to know? And a lot of problems in late in life, when people are alone by themselves without any social environment, they have a tendency to die earlier and end up with more diseases. So when you look at what can you do to join, to mingle with others, people you enjoy being with, doing things you enjoy doing. More lifestyle planning. What are your goals, short and long term, and are they realistic? A lot of times, I want to do this. Well, let's if you were actually there, what would the day or week look like before you actually achieve that? What would the month look like before that? So I had to really sit down and say, is this goal what I want? Can I get to it realistically? Is it achievable? And then what do I need to change today, tomorrow, and the next day in order to get there? One thing we can all do is reduce the amount of time we have on electronic devices, whether it's a computer, laptop, cell phone, TV, it doesn't matter. A lot of people almost are addicted to electronic devices. Uh, our health is very important. Do we have the right equipment at home to check everything out? Uh, Blood pressure equipment, maybe something simply strapped to your wrist. Body fat, weight. I bought a scale for about $20 the other day that gives me about 15 different percent body fat and everything else that I would ever want to know, so that if I take some action, I can see a week or 2 or 3 weeks later a trend in a positive direction for me for what I want to do. A blood oxygen meter, something super critical during the pandemic. If you're having some issues with upper respiratory and your blood oxygen starts consistently being below 95%, you need to be at the doctor's or in the hospital. You need to know what that is. You just can't wait to get to the doctor's office or to the hospital and have somebody check it out. They're not expensive. Uh, when you have medicines you're taking, what are the side effects? If you don't know, go talk to your pharmacist. Find out, I'm on this medicine and this one. Are there they have a book there that can tell them that. Um, your best person in the world to talk to is your pharmacist in that. Situational awareness. How many times have you seen people that are walking down the street and they have no idea what's going on? Whether it's cars going by, an unhealthy, unsafe environment to be in, a curb to come, just so many things. Be aware of what's around you. You don't want to break a leg, something that could have been avoided. And relax more. There's so many ways to relax, and we'll talk more about that later. What's the benefits of our lifestyle? Better weight management, less fatigue, improved cardiovascular health, improved immune system, just all the different organs. When you have the ability to fully relax, the organs are not over, everything becomes better. When you know where you are and where you're going, you're no longer lost. It's just a better way of going. We feel better, we look better, we think better, we're more productive. It's just a better life in general. Okay, let's talk about stress management. Smile, laugh more. You can't have a negative and a positive thought in your brain at the same time. So if you smile when you're stressed, all of a sudden the muscles start giving a different message to the brain, and you can't keep that whatever is stressing you out with the same level of intensity. It kind of erodes that negative thought. So stress awareness. What's stressing you? Do you recognize your own symptoms? How do you avoid things? The easiest, fastest way to remove stress is just get away from whatever's stressing you. If it's your boss, your wife, your kids, may not be so easy. But if it's a coworker and you don't have to be dealing with that person right now, avoid that person. Learn breathing techniques. Pranayamas, I love. There's over a dozen of them. Pranayama is Sanskrit. Prana, I think, is life force, and yama is control. And there's so many different ways that you can do different kinds of breathing techniques. It's another way of relaxation. It's another way of bringing the body, lowering blood pressure, just so many different benefits from that. Emotional freedom techniques, that's the ability to tap and do a certain mantra as you're doing things. I find for me, I need a minimum of 8 minutes for it to be effective. Uh, Go onto YouTube, type in emotional freedom techniques, relaxation, stress management, stress release. You'll find a lot of them there. Just follow the yellow brick road. Whatever they're doing, they're saying, you do the same thing. A lot of us are over involved in social media. Do we really need to be spending that amount of time on it? What's really important? Set an egg timer. If you want to spend 3 minutes checking on emails, when the thing goes off, get off of checking emails. It's just a way of doing it. Are we connecting with the right people in the right groups? I mentioned earlier, we really need to have some kind of relationship when we're in our older age. But are we with the right groups and right people right now? It may be a church group, it may be a community group, it may be, in my case, yesterday was Chamber of Commerce, great group of people. I'm leaving next week for a military reunion. Are you with the right kinds of people? There are a lot of self-guided meditations. Just follow the yellow brick road on what it tells you to do, you're doing, and you just go through that particular. Some type of exercise every day. Now, I'm not talking about running, Walking would be great every day, but maybe it's just a matter of stretching. Every day you do a little bit of stretch, maybe day you do a little bit of balance. Can you stand on one foot for 2 minutes? I don't know. Stand, put your hands almost on top of the chair and find out what you can do. A little bit of something every day helps. We already talked about realistic goals and expectations. But part of our stress is, are we, it's not what happens to us, it happens to everybody. But are we grabbing a hold of that stress and not letting go? Live and let live. Forget, let it go. If you hang on to it, your body will suffer in the long run. Maybe something as simple as aromatherapy can be tied into your meditation. So maybe you love the smell of coconut or rose or lime. So you do your relaxation with that aroma. And so now you don't necessarily have to go. You can just put the lime next to the coconut. No, not in the coconut. Put the lime next to your computer, and you have a chance to get a little bit of that aromatherapy. Time management is one for almost all of us. We always run out of time. It's just one of those things that happen. Without learning, we're not going to be able to improve. You've always heard, take a deep breath, count to 10. Well, that's part of that breath. That's that breathing. Well, you don't have to count to 10. Sometimes by the time you get to 3, you're already to the point where if I had said something to that person, I probably would regret it. Count to 5, and then you really need to respond. Can you just blow it off and let it go? Sunlight is your friend. You don't need to spend 3 hours out there in the sun, but 10, 20, 30 minutes, depending on the time of the year, the latitude you're at, the color of your skin, lots of things can help with the sunlight, just immense value for your health. When you're in the stress management and things, you're more in control of your life, your health, your lower blood pressure, cardiovascular system, our immune system, all those things are working better. Our mental and emotional health are much better. Our moods are more stable. Generally speaking, if we're not stressed out, we're not eating comfort foods, we're not sitting in front of the TV binge watching, we have better weight management, we have better quality sleep, our digestive systems work much better. Just lots and lots of things work better when we're not stressed. One of the things that I do every year, in fact, I'll be doing it next week, is a CRP test. CRP stands for C-reactive protein. When our bodies are inflamed, it creates a protein called C-reactive protein. You can get a blood test, generally, I think $12.95 at the local lab that I go to. And it's a simple blood test. Within a day or two, they'll tell you what the numbers are. The closer to 0 you are, the better off you are. That means you don't have any inflammation in the body. Chances of disease developing are low. So as you increase inflammation in certain other things like your heart, well, a homocysteine level test is a better test maybe than CRP. But these are all cheap, inexpensive tests, and they tell you what's going on. It won't tell you where the CRP, won't tell you where the body is inflamed, but it'll tell you, hey, you need to go talk to somebody and find out where this is at. Stress management, fewer days with colds, fewer instances of really increased, say, respiratory. In other words, you're almost needing to go to the hospital, walking pneumonia. You have a lesser degree. But again, it's awareness, recognition, and then action. Immune system planning. Almost everything we've talked about already is exactly what's needed. So all these things are double dipping, triple dipping on each other. We need a healthy diet. We need more exercise. We need to be hydrated. We need good quality sleep. We need our nutritional balance. We don't need, but every so often we just need maybe that pasta or Mexican food or baked potato, whatever it may happen to be, something that was a norm before that. Now all of a sudden, I've been without it 2 weeks. I don't need it, but maybe an ice cream cone wouldn't be too bad. If you're only doing it once every couple of weeks, it's a non-issue. It really truly is. Healthy fats. Avoid anything that has any kind of vegetable oil, whether canola, sunflower, corn. And the reason is not that they're not essential. They are essential fatty acids, omega-6s. But our diets, standard American diet, has way too many of the omega-6 fatty acids. And when you start getting outside of the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 from a 4-to-1 ratio, they become inflammatory and the body will suffer accordingly. Sugar awareness, they hide all over the place on all different kinds of names. If you Google, how do I find hidden sugars? How do I find hidden gluten? Dr. Google and Dr. YouTube are amazing with the information they have. Fasting, probably one of the best things you can do for your immune system. I do a 72-hour fast every month, and that's to reset my immune system. After about 72 hours, your DNA and any form of non-functioning cell in the body gets rid of. It eliminates. If it's not working properly, the body says, hey, I may be starving for a while. Let's get rid of all these things. And so you're literally resetting your immune system back to ground zero. And with an immune system, we have a quicker reaction. It's our first line of defense. And if we're going to be coming across some kind of new virus or bacteria or fungus, we really need to have that first level of defense, the healthiest we can. So we end up with a healthier life. We have fewer diseases, the frequency, the intensity, the duration. We have less fatigue. Somehow it seems like fatigue is one of those things that, I just can't get anything done today. I'm tired. I can't go. And when you're tired, you can't go to sleep, or you fall asleep and it's not good sleep. But when you have a good immune system, you cut yourself, you bang up something, you heal faster, you have fewer infections. You actually feel stronger. Real quickly, wrapping things up here toward the end of this thing, mental health, we really need to know what are the symptoms that we need to see in ourselves or we can see in other people. Anxiety, depression, there's so many of them out there. I'm giving serious thought to maybe making that my next series of talks. But we need to know and recognize this, and what can we do about it? A lot of symptoms that show up from mental health and depression can be remedied by diet, believe it or not. Just cut back on sugars if you don't do anything else. Fresh air, sunshine. Medication. Sometimes you end up with a medication that's causing some emotional stress in the brain, some level of anxiety. If that's the side effect on your drug, talk to your doctor about it. What can you do otherwise? Practice gratitude, Thanksgiving. That does an awful lot for just improving mental health. Just let it go. And it's amazing how, let's say somebody really irritates you. I had this done at one event I went to, and I wrote this person's name on my hand, and the person says, throw it away. Well, I threw it away. It says, look at it getting smaller and smaller, and it's gone. I didn't think anything about it. I thought it was just a bunch of crap. But anyway, the next time I ran into that person, I found that my feeling toward that person had changed, literally changed by the simple act of writing that person's name on my palm of my hand with my finger and letting it go. Random acts of kindness, little things that we don't expect anybody to reciprocate, opening the door for somebody, whatever it may happen to be. Maybe somebody's behind you in line, throw an extra $1 on the cash register, say, hey, just add that to the person behind me and walk away. Don't even let them know. But connect with others. There's many, many ways that others can help, but you got to be able to talk with them and work with them. Okay, so my final thoughts. Everything's going to revolve around the same great basic things: diet, nutrition, exercise, management of our stress, our weight, our fat. Everything we choices have consequences. We need to have good consequences. If you begin now, the middle of October, we have 2.5 months in order to make a change. If we want a New Year's resolution and we don't set them properly, all of a sudden we're going to be 2 weeks, 3 weeks into our new year and failed again. In most cases, it takes 21 days to be able to affect a change. But to make that change permanent, it takes about 66 days. You need at least 50 repetitions to develop a habit. Now is a good time, 10 weeks before the beginning of the new year. Begin doing something. Do a salad plate. Whatever it may happen to be, start doing. If you don't, say, what if, not if, but when something will happen in the future, be better prepared. Know where you are, know where you're going. You are really and truly, it's not your doctor, it's you who are responsible for your own health. And as you took a look going through here, all of these different side effects all have some kind of interrelation to each other. Whether it's our brain, our heart, our health, our gut, whatever, everything is interrelated. So you improve your nutrition, your diet, your exercise, a lot of things you're having. So we're looking for awareness, an awakening, education, consulting when needed, and final action. I'm Red O'Laughlin, and this has been the Talking Head Show on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. I can be reached at red@red.olaughlin.com. That's red like the color RED. That's OLAUGHLIN.com. Red@redolaughlin.com. My website, redolaughlin.com. I'm a speaker, author, and publisher. two of my books on health and wellness. Almost everything we talked about here today is found in my book, The Joy of Ageless Health, or Longevity Secrets for Healthy Aging. It can be found on my website or on Amazon. And with that, I'm going to close out today's session, and very hopefully I'm going to decide on whether to talk about toxins for the next month or so, or to start looking seriously on mental health and being better prepared. So within the next few days, I'll have an answer, and you'll be seeing my promos on what's going to come up there. So with that being said, Dr. Jacqueline, thank you very much for the opportunity to be on Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. We'll catch you all later on. Take care. Bye now.